Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about broken perks and skills. We're going to start off with what we know that's going to be accompanied with some developer statements. Then we're going to talk about what is to come in the future with some additional statements, and at the end I will provide you with some useful info that can be used right now. Everything said in this video will be posted in the description as a script. It's going to be on the screen right now, and all the links will also be down below. So first, let's get right into it. Let's talk about what we know. So every big patch since 1.4.0, we have received an overhaul to one skill at a time. 1.4.0 overhauled the one-handed skill, 1.4.1 overhauled the two-handed skill, and 1.4.2 overhauled polearm. Now, the overhauls introduced a secondary perk effect, which essentially makes perks more usable and in turn more viable. For example, the one-handed skill Deadly Purpose used to only increase one-handed weapon attacks by 5%, but now also raises your party limit by 15. So now when you're out of combat, the skill is still viable and it has an effect. Also, these secondary effects make for more interesting builds, and to be honest, I can't even wait to see how people use perk combos in the future, you know, like a lot longer down in the line, right, when the game's like fully released and all the perks have been overhauled. I can't wait to see the interesting builds that people use and combine different perks and skills together, because you can get some really overpowered builds, using all those different secondary effects, pretty much. Now, also alongside these changes, we received additional fixes to other perks and other skills that have not yet been overhauled. In 1.4.2, we saw fixes to Charm, Leadership, Trade, and Medicine perks, as well as the overhaul for the polearm skill. All the patch notes will be listed below as well, the 1.4.0, 1.4.1, and 1.4.2, if you guys want to go check out the changes that were done due to those updates. Now, big thing I do see in the forums and other places where Bannerlord is talked about and discussed is about why all the perks are not fixed yet, and if the devs have given up and just fixed a couple, and that's pretty much it, right? Well, here's what the devs had to say on May 7th, which is 7 days before we received the new 1.4.1 beta and the 1.4.0 move to live. So pretty much here's how it goes. So the player asked about the perk system overhaul that was mentioned by another developer a week prior to the release of 1.4.0 beta, where one-handed perks were overhauled. The devs then respond and state that they will probably overhaul one skill at a time. Now, ever since this statement was made, that is exactly what we have received, which is one skill being overhauled with small fixes to either previous overhauled perks or ones yet to be overhauled, right? So we saw one-handed, two-handed, polearm, and I'm pretty sure the next big patch we're going to get, We're going to get fixes to bow and overhaul to the bow perk, because they're going down the line, really, if you look at it. Now, here's why this is done the way this is done, right? So this is pretty much my opinion, by the way, but it's taken from all the statements we've seen. So here's what I think is happening, right? So overhauling one skill at a time and adding secondary features to every perk is a lot, and it can have a huge impact on in-game features and progression of the game. If the devs overhauled every skill and added a secondary effect to every perk and just dropped it all at the same time, it might break the whole game or change how it's played drastically, right? The devs would also have a hard time figuring out the problems with the new skills and perks if they dropped them all together, because there's so many of them, and even the smallest bug in one little perk or secondary effect can cause a chain reaction and make the game unplayable in a way, right? So the smart thing to do, and the road the developers did choose, which I think is a smart one, right, is one skill per update, see how it affects gameplay, patch it if needed, right, nerf it, buff it, whatever, then move on to the next one when that one is stable. Yes, this means it's going to take more time to finish the whole skill tree, but playing something smart is always better than rushing into a problem regardless of the situation. Okay, so pretty much that is what we know. So let's talk about what is to come in the future. So first, we can obviously expect every new big patch to have one more skill overhauled. I don't know, since that they might do more than one skill. They might do maybe 2 or 3 at a time, but we can expect at least one skill to be overhauled every big patch, right? And we can expect small fixes to either previously overhauled skills or overhauled skills like we've seen in 1.4.2 when it came to the charm, what was it, charm, medicine, trade, and leadership, which were slightly, what do you call it? A couple bugs were fixed. So that's pretty much the first thing we can expect. The second thing we can expect is we got a heads up from the developers and a Steam announcement made last week. The announcement will be linked below if you guys want to go check out the full announcement. In this announcement, the devs were talking about achievements and what is to come in the future. In one statement, they state, also an incoming update is planned where the characters' levels will depend on raw experience collected from skills rather than the skill level increases. Overall, this should make it easier to focus on a particular set of skills. So it looks like, and this is again my opinion, like skill levels will no longer be the gateway to either skills themselves, to perks themselves, or the bonuses you get with a higher level in a particular skill. And an example of this is you receive more morale to your party the higher your leadership skill is. I think it's every 2.5 points of leadership. 2.5 levels of leadership will give you 1 additional morale to your party. So maybe this will go off the experience now instead of the skill level. It's going to be interesting to see how the devs implement this, and I'm excited for the change. And they say that it's incoming, so it's an incoming update. So it's, it's right around the corner type of deal. So it could be the next big update we see, or, something of that nature. That concludes pretty much what we can see in the future. Also, obviously, we might get some surprise features and some other things that was not even listed that might come up, later in future patches. But I will be covering those future patches, so I will keep you guys informed if there's any other changes that are not spoken about here. Now let's talk about some useful info. So first, there's a great website that I have covered before, and it covers the current perks and if they are working properly or not. This is a player-made website. I'm in no way sponsored or anything like that by this website, but I have used them before. I have shown it before on my channel, but it's a very cool way to see the current state of the perks. You can pretty much click on any perk and see the in-game info and the code analysis of the in-game code itself to see if the perk works completely, partially, or not at all. You can also check what has changed since patch 1.3.0, which I think is when the website started, and it looks like this site is being updated regularly. So in my opinion, it's a great source to see what works and what doesn't, especially let's say you're having a playthrough and you want to pretty much check, hey, if I'm going to pick between two different skills, what works and what doesn't, right? So it's kind of a cool thing to check out, if you're just curious or if you're doing a playthrough, right? Link to the website will be down below, but it's literally called bannerlordperks.com, which I think is a great .com website to get, right? But it's very simple, very straightforward. The site is very easy to use, and it's, again, very straightforward. So if you want, you guys can go use it, right? Also, I know there are mods out there and tweaks that tweak certain perks and skills. You can always go that route, but heed my warning pretty much. Since perks and skills are being changed rapidly with every new patch, right? The mods will almost 100% cause your game to crash once a new patch comes out. If you are using mods, please be careful and mindful that updates break mods and cause game crashes. Best places for mods, if you are going to go down that route, in my opinion, is Nexus Mods. They have a long history of managing mods and downloads. And again, I'm not sponsored by these people as well, right? There's no sponsor in this video at all. I'm just trying to show you guys the best places to go, and the safest, right? So I've used them forever. I've used them for Fallout a long time ago, for Skyrim and things of that nature. And the downloads have always been safe there. If you do use other websites, please read reviews and do your homework so you do not end up with a virus or even worse, right? So link to Nexus Mods will be down below as well. Lastly, I'm going to end this video the same way in most of my update and dev talk videos. I do want to thank the developers for staying active and bringing good changes. Some people are impatient and very negative on the forums, but me and a huge group of people understand that this is an early access game and it's going to take time and patience on our parts, and there's going to be stuff that's broken. That's just that's just part of the ride, really. And I did used to make, I also want to make a little mini announcement since it's kind of like the end of the video, right? I did used to make these videos where I was talking about the good and bad parts of the forum, like the good constructive criticism threads, and also the gossip and negativity threads. Um, I used to focus kind of on the negativity aspect, right? And that's kind of now where I want my channel to go. And morally, I don't want to just talk about the bad, right? So I'm not gonna make as many of those videos anymore. I might make it if like there's a lot of dev responses, just to give you guys like, you know, some information that came from straight from the devs, right? But I'm gonna try to showcase the good and the actual good criticism that's on the forums. So yeah, just listen. If any dev is listening, keep your head up. There's always gonna be negativity regardless of what you work on. The people who want to see this game succeed, they see your hard work, and keep going with it, right? Also, since you are playing an early access game, if you are playing on the beta, do not expect the gameplay to be stable. It is a beta branch meant for playtesting and reporting. If you would like to play in a more stable environment, please play on a stable live patch of the game. There's plenty of them. I personally play on 1.3. That's where my playthrough right now is at. So I have a video on how you can revert to a stable patch. The link to that video will be down below if you do want to change back. But yeah guys, hopefully this video was informative. Ask me any questions, and like always, stay safe.